Hi you guys, hello and welcome. I hope you're doing very well today. Sorry for the weird filming location. I'm just here on the stairs. I'm fresh out of the shower, so my hair's a mess. But this is a really beautiful Dracaena that I wanted to share. So all Dracaenas are in the Asparagaceae family. Most of them are native to Mozambique, Madagascar, Réunion, South Sudan, those types of areas. They're a tropical African genus. This here is a subset that's been cultivated from Dracaena demorensis, which is kind of like the old-fashioned variety that grows to about 12 feet tall in the wild. But basically, long story short, Deramensis, which is synonymous with fragrans, got breeded out and created a subset of different cultivars that we know today, like variety compacta, Janet Craig, warneckii, lemon lime, all sorts of different kinds of Dracaenas came from that species. But today I wanted to talk specifically about the warneckii. So this is also known as the white stripe Dracaena. It's a native, well, it's pretty much modernly domesticated and cultivated, but the origin species is native to Mozambique. This one grows to about 9 to 15 feet, 15 feet being quite generous indoors. One thing I will say about these guys is they do contain lots of saponins. Saponins are basically a type of chemical that's quite toxic to small animals, such as guinea pigs, rabbits, hamsters, and shows slight toxicity to animals such as cats and dogs. So you don't want your pets to eat this plant. Pretty safe for people. We tend to be quite resistant to saponins in our diet at this particular concentration, so if your kid accidentally eats it, they'll probably be fine, but you should probably keep your houseplants away from your kids anyways. But this here is, it's very low maintenance. One thing I will say is that it does collect dust, because this is the kind of plant that you keep in a corner that you can kind of neglect sometimes. So I actually have to dust mine. It's a good idea to regularly dust them just so that they photosynthesize better and get more light. Now I'm going to talk about feeding. These guys are very low maintenance when it comes to feeding. You really want to feed them at the beginning of the growing season. I tend to give them a little bit of a boost when they get kind of tired around October, November, sort of fall, end of the summer. And you want to give them another liquid feed kind of in the early summer, kind of May, June, because that's when their main growing season is. If you're going to grow these, you can totally put them outside during the summer. I recommend that, but make sure that you pick a more shaded location because they don't appreciate a lot of intense direct sunlight. These guys, if you're growing them inside, you want to avoid drafts, but you kind of want to find a sweet spot because they don't like it to be too hot. If you put them next to like a heater, for example, you'll get brown tips. You'll also get brown tips with really excessively low humidity. 40, 50, 60% humidity is pretty optimal for these guys. They don't need a humidifier or anything like that. But you don't want it to be like in the desert because it is, naturally speaking, a tropical plant that grows along sort of the Indian Ocean coast of Africa. So this is not actually the mature size. They do get a lot longer, upwards of 3 feet in like exceptional cases. If you want to promote branching, it's really, really easy to root the tops. What I would do if I were to propagate this one, I want it to grow straight up just because I don't have a lot of space. But if you want to promote lateral branches, what you can do is you can cut down kind of at the intersection of, okay, not the crown here, so you want to make sure that you can actually see like this zigzag pattern here of different leaves emerging. You don't want it to be like too close to the top because then it's not going to root if you do plan on rooting it. And you're going to want to remove the bottom 3, 4, 5 leaves just to give some clearance there. To form roots, they root incredibly easy in water. Remember, Dracaenas are the same classification as lucky bamboo, so they do very well propagated in water. I actually prefer propagating them in water rather than soil just because of the oxygen availability. If the soil gets a little waterlogged, they don't tend to like that either. These guys actually bloom. It's very uncommon to get them blooming indoors. For the warneckii, and I wish I knew who Warneck was because this is a beautiful variety. I think he's a botanist, but I'm really not sure. Could be a place, I don't know. But when these guys bloom, they have kind of a chartreusey, kind of lime, kind of muted, white-colored bloom. It comes on a panicle, kind of. So the blooms kind of sit on top and they have these really nice stalks. They smell like jasmine. I've only ever smelt one in person, but it was just so beautiful. They almost kind of remind me of like Hoya compacta, the smell. Really beautiful. They do set tiny little berries. From what I've heard, it's just incredibly rare to get those in cultivation. You're so much better off doing this with just like top cuttings. If you cut it from the top, you can expect 2 to 4 lateral shoots. This makes a really nice topiary too, actually, if you want to get rid of the lower leaves. But just remember that the lower leaves will not grow back. You might get little side pups at the base though, which is pretty cool. So for watering, these guys are very, very, very sensitive to fluorine and fluoride in your water. So if you use municipal water and you notice a lot of yellow leaves close to the bottom, could be because your tap water is a little bit too hard. I like watering this with rainwater. I know that sounds super bougie, but it works. You'll get kind of yellow tips kind of near the base if you use too much fluorinated water. I actually watered this guy with snow when we got some snow last month, and it seemed to really like it. It got kind of a darker, richer green color. They like drying out in between waterings, but they like being watered thoroughly when you do water them. Let the excess water drain out of the bottom if you have like a cache pot or something, because they don't like sitting in water. They definitely like a couple days of dryness between water. So think about like a peace lily, for example, or a croton. The way that you would water that's the way that you would water this. What else should I say about this? The variegation will always be stronger if you have it in brighter light. I don't think I really did justice to the varieties of gray and the different tones in here. Now, speaking about pests, I've been dealing with thrips for a while in my collection, which is really aggravating, but they don't go after my Dracaenas at all. I don't know if that's just me in particular, but I find that Dracaenas are very thrips resistant. You can get spider mites on these, you can get mealybugs. Mealybugs don't tend to be too bad of an issue because you can kind of see their fuzzy mealybug colonies and you can kind of pull them off and it's pretty easy to spot. Interestingly enough, I've seen scale on these, which is really weird because scale is more associated with like crassulas and cacti. So maybe, well, I had an epiphyllum next to it. Maybe it came off of my other plants and landed on there, but scale is just a really weird thing to see on Dracaenas. If you have them a little bit more dense in the bottom like I do here, you might get fungus gnats because they like hiding in the moisture underneath. If you sprinkle a little bit of mosquito bits or like cinnamon, that gets rid of the pupating, soil-dwelling fungus gnats. So these make amazing gifts, by the way, like for friends and stuff. I gave one of these away probably a couple years ago now, and I think it totally made my friend's day. So you can get split ends on these guys too. I have one example of split ends here. This is because of low humidity. I don't know if you can see that there. It's just an aesthetic thing. If you don't like it, you can chop it off, but I always recommend chopping off. I know, probably an unpopular opinion, but if I were to prune this for leaf tip damage, I would cut it just across rather than cutting it at a point. I know some people cut them triangularly just to maintain this sort of strappy, pointy leaf look. I cut it across just because there's less of a wound that way and it heals quicker. But it's up to you. It's your plant. You have to have fun with it, right? These guys have like an undulating margin, which is really cool when they get mature. I don't know if you can see this here. It's kind of wavy. But yeah, so I'm just going to show you guys some of the plant now. This is Dracaena warneckii. Same care as a regular generic Mesangiana or the corn plant. Same care as the Janet Craig one, only this one expands a lot more. Fast grower, very fast grower. Does not like to, I'm kind of producing a bad example with it because I keep moving it, but it does not like being moved very much in the sense that its growth will slow down quite a lot if you move it. They behave a lot like a ficus that way, like you move them a couple of feet and rotate them a little bit and then their growth will completely slow down. You're not going to have any damaged leaves or anything like that, obviously, but they won't reward you with these big flushes of growth. And that's really the way that this grows. It grows flushes of growth. So all of this growth here, and the reason why I'm showing you right now, is because this here has been growing for about a month. It was literally the height of where my hand is a month ago. And one thing that's interesting about these is if you find that sweet spot of temperature in your house, approximately 21, 22 degrees, so if you're comfortable, this plant's going to be comfortable too, you're going to see those random spurts of growth. For me, sometimes it happens January, sometimes it happens October. I really wish that I brought over some of my other Dracaenas because they're growing like crazy. But yeah, 10 out of 10 recommend this. It's a relative of Lucky Bamboo. I don't know what else to say, but it makes me so happy. So I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. I'll try to make more videos. And yeah, stay blessed.